directing myself again to the government and the Prime Minister of St. Martin in particular with respect to the electoral procedures and the registration of political parties. This issue is one that surfaces every snap election because we have conflicting parts or parts in our constitution that conflict with or are in conflict with, for example, parts in our election law. So every time we wait until we are faced with these matters and then we try some stopgap measures, and we have seen where this would always lead a national decree, amended national decree. We have in the past seen an amendment to the amendment. So we need to really once and for all take this matter up and deal with it. That was my request to the Prime Minister as well. Talking about electoral reform, this continues to be a priority. And from a parliamentary perspective, I have asked that the committee in Parliament that deals with electoral reform, that a meeting be held, even in these times, that a meeting be held and that we can take out at least 2 items from the broad scope of electoral reform, namely the dissolution of Parliament. We know that takes place on the basis of the Constitution, but we also know that that is a very open paragraph in the Constitution. I think we need to be very clear, and we need to further elaborate on this Article 59. I also believe that we need to give follow-up to Article 33 of the Constitution. And that is the one that regulates the position of a minister vis-a-vis the Parliament, the so-called ministerial responsibility. It is the article that stipulates that a minister who does not have the confidence of Parliament needs to actually draw his or her conclusions and basically make the seat available. The important thing is that that same Article 33 also has another paragraph that states that there should be a national ordinance, in other words, another law that further works out this matter of a potential no confidence vote in a minister. And these are at least 2 important parts of the whole matter of electoral reform that I think, ahead of the whole terms of reference that was drafted, we as a parliament should deal with that. As a parliament, we should deal with the issue of the independence declaration by a member of parliament. And then to top it all off is the fact that the Parliament of St. Martin just recently received from the Council of Advice an unsolicited advice dealing with the matter of the screening of candidate ministers. Now, when I saw that, it only made more urgent the issue of dealing with these matters. And so I have added to my request for a meeting of Parliament that unsolicited advice by the Council of Advice. So they have sent in this advice to Parliament, actually asking and proposing to Parliament that Parliament deals with the matter of the screening, the whole screening procedure, the screening of candidate ministers. And I think that's extremely important. And I do not believe that at this point, Parliament can afford to say, well, we are in a campaign, election is the 19th of August, so let us put it off. We still have some time, not only before election, we have some time before the new Parliament sits in September, on the 20th of September to be exact. And I really want these matters on the table of Parliament. I have requested it. As President of Parliament, I will go after it in terms of making it happen that this meeting can be held. But again, that unsolicited advice from the Council of Advice regarding the screening of candidate ministers, it is my opinion that the Parliament should pick that up right now. And that is what I am pursuing at this moment.
What has been most disappointing for you?
On my run?
Yes. When you see the state of affairs that's happening right now.
Oh, the lack of communication and going to the people and seeing what they want. So evaluate, survey. That is what is lacking. It's sad to see you're in this position. You're supposed to be the voice of the people, but you're not actively going out there and listening to their voice before you make decisions that affect them.
Why should we vote? We are frustrated, we are upset, we are mad that we have to do this. We used to get mad when we had to vote every year and a half. Mm-hmm. Now we have to vote twice in 1 year, you know, and there's so many people out there that decided, I'm not going to waste my time, I'm not going to go and vote because nothing is going to change. What do you say to that?
You know, there's a couple of different answers that people usually give. One is if you don't vote, it's hard for you to
have anything to say.
Have anything to say. But I mean, that's one version of things, right? And you can vote and be disappointed in who you voted in. But this is a right that you have, especially in a democratic society. At the end of the day, government has a responsibility to make decisions that will affect your life. So there has to be a government, there have to be leaders, and you know, you have to never give up on trying to get the leader that you believe is the right leader in, although it's important for you to really look at who you're voting for, look at that party, scrutinize them. But government is responsible for our daily lives and the quality of our life. And so that's why it's so important not to leave that to anybody, that you have had a say in it, and that and that you can feel that you are part of the process.
But what do you say to people who feel that government owes them a living? You know, government has to do this for me, government has to do that for me. No. But we become too dependent on government.
That's very
yeah, and that's a small island Caribbean issue. I realize, and I've done some research on it. The thing is, we have to kind of shift the mindset of our people and say that we're all responsible. So government, yes, is very much responsible to make sure that you could survive and not only survive, thrive in your own country, that you have a good quality of education, that you have healthcare. That's their responsibility. But you know, you are also responsible for holding them accountable, for voting, for helping your neighbor. So I think we have to kind of create new narratives in the country that remind everyone that we're all in this together. We're all in it together, yeah.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXV, yeah. Your social and health insurances.
let's talk about some of the issues. We've got GEBE, we've got Thailand, we've got education, we've got tourism, we've got healthcare. There's so many things.
So
It's
many-
like you're putting yourself into a position where, but someone has to do it, right?
So many burning bushes.
Yes, exactly.
So many burning bushes. Tourism, let's start from tourism. Tourism is our mainstay. 85 Dutch cents of every guilder that we spend is derivative from tourism, whether you are in the service industry or not. That's it. 15 cents, 15 Dutch cents come from everything else. So 85 cents. But still today, since we've become a country, since we've achieved our separate status, the longest serving minister of tourism was me, 19 months. What does that tell you about where we have tourism on the totem pole? There has not been one minister of tourism that has served 4 full years. Not one in 14 years. What does that tell you? As a matter of fact, we have had 14 different ministers of tourism in 14 years. We serious. That's why all of the islands around the Caribbean, around us, are bypassing us, and we are now sitting down looking like and the word I want to use I can't use, but looking like the idiots of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Because
when you see places like Anguilla, St. Kitts, Nevis, and you visit those places, all of them who had been in the hospitality will say, I learned it from St. Martin.
St. Martin.
When Mullen Bay was around.
Learned it, did it, and doing well.
When
But
we
St.
had-
Martin, we busy worrying about who getting tiat. You know what I'm saying? I don't care who get tiat. I don't care. Tiat don't belong to me. It belongs to St. Martin. Let's make this place great again. Let's make St. Martin what it once was. St. Martin Tourism Authority. Take the marketing of the country out of government bureaucracy. Fund it in your budget, but it also allows them through the hotels, through the car rentals, through private initiative that they can get funding on how they feel the country should be marketed. That is supervised by the Ministry of Tourism. But what we have now, we have the government bureaucracy. Everybody agrees that it should be established. Nothing. We talk about stuff in St. Martin. We talk about the dump. We dump our garbage in the middle of town. Now for St. Martin, 60, 70 years ago, it may not have been a problem because our population was like 5,000 people. A lot of people used to have hog pens. So that food used to go into hog pens. A lot of people used to have drums in their yard where they will burn other garbage.
True.
But now we get 2 to 3 million visitors a year that contribute to that daily. We do 100,000 tons of garbage, last number that I have, annually.
Wow. A lot of garbage.
That's a lot of garbage, okay? But we talk about it.
Do
And
nothing about
we,
it.
we make it a news cycle, and we talk about it and talk about it and talk about it and talk about it until we don't talk about it anymore. And then, okay, let's move on to the next thing. And now it's GB. Then we talk about it and talk about it and talk about it, and that's it. And then, but in the meantime, the problem still persists.
It hasn't been solved.
As a member of political parties, I could have made my recommendations, but I also understand to be a good leader, you got to be a good follower. And I followed because I was not the leader of a political party. I was not the person to say, this is the direction that I would love to take the party. These are the things that I believe, that we must tackle to ensure that St. Martin Stop talking about these things. Let's fix them. And stop trying to make money off of every little investment that came in. I'm not talking about the citizens. The day you postulate yourself on a list, know that you've closed all business opportunities until you take yourself off a list, if you're serious about governing this country. Stop trying to sit down and figure out in deals what's in it for me.
SXM, your social and health insurance is SXM, your social and health insurance is.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXM, yeah, your social and health insurance is.
It's my understanding that you mentioned you've finalized the 2024 budget and working on the 2024 budget. 25. Does that include payments on the COVID loan? Because one of the points previously that was said, so correct us if it's not correct, if it's not true, that the interest rate on the COVID loans was contingent on having a solution for Enya. So it appears that there's not a solution in place for Enya. So has that impacted the interest rates on the loans, and has that been taken up in the budget?
Well, I can only imagine, thank you for your question, that it will impact. That is one of the things that I think I mentioned in a previous statement. I received an email from the former state secretary who asked for me to specifically sign on to the new interest rates towards the COVID loans, which would have been, I think, if I'm not mistaken, going from 3.4 to 2.9%. And I declined because I needed Parliament to give their opinion and to give a decision based on this agreement. To tie the two things in together for me is an issue. I think they're two separate situations and we should handle them separately. But I can imagine, yes, that this will impact our budget. It will impact because you don't know what will come with it. And I can only imagine one of those things would be higher interest rates.
So is payment for the COVID loans in the 2024 and 25 budget?
Yes.
And are you assuming a lower interest rate, or are you anticipating the higher interest rate based on no solution with Enya?
At this point, it would be anticipation of a higher interest rate.
Okay, and a clarification question. The central bank, as I understand it, is the central bank of Curaçao and St. Martin. So St. Martin is part owner, shareholder, participant of the central bank. Why would you as minister tolerate that tone from an entity that you're part of?
And that's exactly my point. I am not tolerating the tone. I will be, as I stated earlier, I will be responding to their letter. It's a bit weird, and I'll explain why. One of the meetings that was had we had, right before I was called on July 18th back to Parliament to answer the questions, we had a meeting, and one of the representatives stated to me, perhaps we should hold off on a decision of Parliament before elections. So now you make me question this letter, because if that was stated before, what is your goal? What is your angle? Is it that you want me to complete or you don't want me to complete? You're asking me to make sure that the parliamentarians all know the risks or the benefits of this, and I'm doing just that. At the end of the day, I am not going, and I repeat, I am not going to not look out for the best interests of St. Martin. For me, that is the most important. And I want those 3,084 policyholders to know that they have my utmost attention.
Why it is exciting for us in the union is that the collective agreement, which has stood the test of time for over 60 years, the collective agreement is what has been used to develop and establish those minimum standards. So it means whether you are in the agreement or not, and you want to benefit from concessions, you must now follow as an employer the collective agreement in order to get the benefits that you are seeking. As recently as yesterday, our office was learning that there are over 200 workers in the sector that are facing redundancy from one establishment in the hotels alone. Over 200 workers. And why it's so easy for them to do it is because this is the one establishment that has been undermining every effort of the union to organize the workers. Even when on October 4th last year, we were on the South Coast. So it's the South Coast establishment in St. Lawrence Gap.
Everything is a give and take. So what happens is there are some lands that are, for want of a better word, that are more rocky. And as you said, it used to grow, but over time people never used it, they pushed it off. And now it is not land that is claimed or that we put back into agriculture. So what we're doing, we're trying to balance with housing development and other developments with the production of agriculture or engage in the agricultural pursuits. It can be a fine balance, but we are maintaining that there's a certain amount that has been allocated for agriculture.
The whole idea behind this session today is to get them out of the technical setting and get them into a frame of mind where they understand that they will have to at some point interact with real people and technical experts and financiers in the agribusiness sector. So we want to show them basic things like etiquette and how to present themselves.
We have done a number of roads. Mount Hillaby we did. We did White Hill. We did Rock Hall. We're doing Franklin Douglas. We did Jordan Road, Belmont Road. We did East Coast. We're doing Boscobel Road, which is Highway B2, the road from Morgan Lewis to Boscobel. We're doing that right now as we speak. We're doing Babylon Road. This is a road that people were crying out at last year, St. Andrew's Speak. People were crying out for Babylon Road and Coggins Hill. And I said to the audience then, and I'm glad I can next week or whenever we go down there, I can say to them again that promise made, promise kept.
Project Dawn was launched in Belle Plaine with some youngsters on the blocks at Belle Plaine. Over 20 acres of land was provided for those youngsters to be involved in the process. Now, all of us at some point in time may have some struggles and require a second chance to balance your life again. And Project Dawn is doing exactly that in relation to those youngsters who you see lying on the blocks across this country and females who lie across the blocks. We have a block committee in place that their task is to go to every single block in Barbados to interact with those youngsters and to say to them, look, Government is providing you with an opportunity to get your life back on track